Release the Kraken! Release the Kraken! Release the Kraken! Release the Kraken! Release the Kraken!
Blackularized and superflied. You've been macked, hammered, slaughtered, and shafted. Now we want to turn you on to some brand new jive.
So welcome to City Lines TV, man. One of my good friends, man. This guy's gold. I just had to get to you, man. You know, reference to your music, man, and you know, you've been providing me with stuff, man, for years. So, but I want everybody else to know, you know, about you and what you've been doing in your business, man. So my thing is, the first question is, how did you get into, you know, collecting all that vintage go-go, man?
Man, I'm gonna tell you something, brother. I mean, I'm glad to be here first of all. It started out in 1978 or 79 when we used to live on 880 Southern Avenue Southeast. I remember this ice cream truck used to come around back. It was an all-white ice cream truck, and this dude just had this music blast. And I looked in the ice cream truck. He had a big old boom box with a bungee cord around it. And I was just hearing this beat, and I started, you know, bobbing my head. I mean, all of us did, because I was like about 8 or 9 at the time. And the ice cream truck driver said, "You know who that is, shorty?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "That's Red Essence, Slim." I said, "Red Essence?" He said, "Yeah, that's R.E."
Don't go nowhere, cornflakes. We're gonna sing happy birthday before you go, baby, alright? But look at before you go, we're gonna do something like this now, alright? There it is, Beady Top. Special dedication going out to my man Beady Top and Michelle and Sugar, y'all. Sugar and Spike and Boo. Sorry about that, Boo. Boo and Carla. Nay, and Boo and Carla, y'all. All right now. Also going out to my man Curly and Hunt and sweet lady Catherine and my man Mike and sweet little lady Wardy. Baby and Beady Top. Good God. Kennedy and Sam. And Herb, y'all. Good God. Idris and Jamal now. Hang there now. Just want to go out to somebody we ain't seen in a long time now. 2 young ladies, Valerie. Hang there, Valerie. We even got about you, baby. Good to see you tonight.
He said, "And that's little Benny on the mic." I said, "The mic?" He said, "Yeah, the microphone. You know, he's talking." So I'm like, "Oh, okay then." So every day this brother would come, I'm always there and listen to him. You know, he always had a different taste. So one day he came and the brother said, "Man, you always here, little youngin'. So I made you 2 copies." And both of them was R.E. from the Maverick Room. And from right there, that's when I first heard of go-go. I mean, my mother used to play Chuck Brown back in the day, like, you know, Blow Your Whistle, Bustin' Loose, but I don't know if that was considered go-go at that time. But when it really bust out, that was my first introduction of go-go.
What you meant when you said your mother was listening to Chuck, but you didn't know whether they called it go-go. Tell us about that. So was it go-go at first when Chuck was playing, or was it?
Well, at that time, I never heard of go-go music until that brother from the ice cream truck, he said it was go-go at the time, you know. And the only band that brother had played in the ice cream truck was Ray S's tape. That was the first go-go band I have heard, you know, Ray S's. And After Red Essence, everything had trickled down from Trouble Funk, EU, Air Raid, Petworth, Chance Band, Reds and the Boys, and that can go on from bands from back in the day, from 85 on down. And that was my first introduction of go-go.
I got you. Okay, so take me from the truck, man. So after you heard that, then how'd you move forward investigating go-go and getting into it after the ice cream truck situation?
You know, as time went on, you know, going to school at Andrew Jackson in middle school and going to high school in Forestville, a brother would come up to me and say, hey, do you have this tape? And we always trade. But remember, I always made a copy and would trade. So I would keep everything. And I never thought, you know, go-go today, old school go-go today would be powerful. One incident happened in 1985 when this guy in Suitland, City Line Towers at the time, he called me out the window. He said, Johnny, I have this cranking ass EU. And I said, I have this red S. And I let him listen to it, and we traded. And my brother said, he said, man, you know, you stupid. And I said, well, what you talking about? He said, man, that S's you gave him, people going to want that 25 and 30 years from now. He said, don't moms listen to the old groups today like the Ink Spots. Now, I'll never forget that. But what he didn't know is that I made a copy of that S's, and I traded with this brother named Lee. I'll never forget him.
I get you. See, man, and it's true that stuff is the hard to find. You know, I've got the stuff you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say this to you too, man. I'm probably a real blessed dude, because let me tell you, man, I happen to run into you and Woods, and I'm making a point separately. Like, I got the blessing of having both of y'all, right, to turn to. And I've done it over the years with different art projects. And like I say, man, a lot of that class I got from you, man, I could call and just say, look, I wouldn't even know what the groove is sometimes. I said, man, look, I just heard this. And I end up, like, yeah, I got that in the library. And I'm trying to tell you, man, what your brother said is so true. Because look, something might just pop in my mind or somebody else's mind about a particular song from a particular group. They might be doing whatever they doing. You know, and for y'all to have the libraries, man, it's mean. I'm saying like this, man. So before I go too far ahead of myself, so how did you get to the point where you want to have a library, though? How did the library start?
Man, it started for me just collecting. You know, some guys were like, man, I don't even want this tape. You know, back then they'd say, oh, this is an old EU or something. You know, I don't even want it. I want something newer now. I said, well, give it to me. And, you know, I just kept keeping these tapes. I remember the first shoebox I ever had, I had 60 tapes in there. And I thought that was a lot back then, just tapes. Now I have a couple of thousand. And in the 90s, when I figured out how to convert a tape to a CD, because that was a big thing back in the early 90s, to hit go-go on a CD, because you thought that you had to be in a studio or something, you know, back then. But you can take a box tape and just convert it onto a CD back then. And when the thumb drive and the hard drive came in, thank God, because I just had a case just full of CDs. And then I convert everything on a hard drive just to keep it safe. And from that time on, I just kept everything. And when I got the YouTube page, man, let me tell you something, Ruffin. I had brothers from Hawaii. I had brothers from cross seas that used to live in D.C. or close to D.C. that went to the service and retired. They get in contact with me and say, man, when I seen your YouTube page, I was telling my wife, this is real go-go right here.
All right. Martin Luther Chris, all right? This stuff we gonna put in the album, y'all, all right? This one going out to the ladies, y'all. Call me baby, all right? Call me baby, y'all. That's that one going out to the ladies, y'all. Woo-wee, that's what I'm talking about, ladies. Y'all both ready back there, fellas? Woo-wee, say what? Oh, my baby. Come through, y'all. We gonna have that in spring, y'all. Call me baby now, all right? What you say, y'all? Let that get it up to burn down. All the time.
And I try to tell the youngins today. I say, I love what y'all doing today. You know, I mean, you know, that's y'all generation. You know, but show respect and just look back. Just look back in history to see how go-go started. How go-go bands today, they can charge you $50 and $60. I remember going to the Coliseum, seeing 6 or 8 bands for $5, and they were crank. Because you know, bands back then would try to show up. Man, Doc had a conversation not too long ago. Doc from Air Raid, he told me, he said, when we used to play in DC, we try to bang every go-go band out back then just to show up.
You got to learn this simple fact. When you walk around town and you feeling down, just say, what's up, like that.
Now, what we said before y'all go any further, y'all gotta get this thing together, right? Can I see we got sweet little Wanda in the house tonight? I swear to goodness. Do I see Paula tonight? Right on, Angie, right on, baby. Can we warm it up for Billy? Do it, Billy. Oh, shucks now. Where's my main man Hugh at? We gonna do it for Hugh, cause Hugh come to boogie, come to party on down there. Well, I thought I see somebody holding up the big A. Who's that, Joe? Good to see you tonight, Joe. We got it from all over tonight. They from down in Capitol Heights and Southeast. I swear to goodness now. Well, I love to see you.
It's just some good history to it.
I got you, man. Look, tell everybody the page on YouTube too, and also where they can also buy the music also.
Only thing they got to do is just go on YouTube and just type in Go-Go John Store. All in one word, all my information right there. My phone number's there, email's there. You can comment on something. I'll talk to you. I always, you know, get back to the people that listen to my page and respond to my page. I'm always there. I mean, my phone is right there. I get my notification. I'm always there connecting with everybody that always watching my page.
Fantastic. You know, I'm not gonna get ahead of myself, and because you know I'm always we'll get to the clothes because I mean I still have all my I wore one of Scully today when I went on my walk, so I still wear them. So we're gonna get to that too, but I want to stay with on the path, man, because all right, so we passed the 60 tapes, couple thousand now. My thing is with is it difficult to keep the quality though still? I know you probably come along with some tapes that's damaged. You gotta. It's been hard over the years to recycle some of it.
Nah, brother. You know, I mean, the technology now is ridiculous. You know, I mean, I can take an old tape and just put it in a regular box and a muffle. I have a program now that can create everything out. I mean, everything. I mean, it would make it sound like water, clear.
I feel
Sound
you.
like water. Yeah, that's why I keep everything. I keep everything.
So if you say right now of all of the whole genre, right? What's some of the most vintage years that you have? The vintage years. I mean, the stuff that's hard to find. How far you go back?
I would say between 78 and 83.
Hmm.
I say that because I have an air raid that's a 1979, and a lot of people didn't believe me until I let Doc hear. And when Doc said, "Yeah, we used to play at Ford's," he said that was at Fordsville Skating Rink, 1979. Now I was like 8 or 9 years old, and Doc said, "Yeah, the rapper." He said that was I forgot the dude's name, but Doc told me. He said, "Yeah, he was our first rapper."
Because I
I
was
said,
gonna
"Wow."
ask you. I was gonna say, well, who's Gogo Mike rapping? He wasn't rapping. He wasn't Gogo Mike.
Nah, no, it wasn't Go-Go Mike. You had to, when Doc see this, I'm sure he'll say something. It was, I don't know, the dude's name was Tony or something. Doc said he was our first rapper,
Damn.
1979. And Doc told me, I said, what was y'all name before air raid? He said it was Funky Funky something. He said, don't ask me no more. We both started laughing, and he told me how he told me how he got the name air raid from playing in Capitol Heights with the air raid siren thing.
Yeah, yeah, you should have those. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. He spelled it like the roach spray. He said, nah, I didn't like it like that. So he put the Y in there and RAYDE, and he said air raid. And me and him
That's
always joke about that.
guess what though? You broke us off with something that, man. You know that was something that's deep. Because guess what? Nobody know how where that name came from. How it even came really. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
because I asked him. He said one day we was practicing Capitol Heights, and that siren came on. He said, hold on. He said he stopped the band from practice, and he said, we gonna change the name. And they said the what? He said air raid. And he didn't like it at first. He said, man, that's like the road spray. So he said, nah, I'm going to put a Y-R-E in there, then raid, R-A-Y-D-E. And that's history right there.
Yes, that's history for real. Man, look, that's gonna be real. It just educated me. I know some other people gonna be like, man, that's where that name. Because you wonder, like, man, how they come up with air raid? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yep.
Interesting. So, okay, let's think about bands that we can't. You know, of course, we don't see them anymore. We don't see reunions. But let's say mass extinction. I'm just plucking your brain. So, what's the
Right.
oldest mass you may have? Something like that.
Whew. Man, I have so many. I would probably say like an 83, 84, probably.
That's
I had some,
that's classic though. That's classic.
I had some Chance and some Pep Boys, Pep Work.
Where y'all from? Where y'all from? Minnesota Avenue. Where y'all from? Y'all from Hillcrest, Capitol Heights, Anacott Crew. So bring it up fast through that door. You better get together like you was up there. Just jump up and down all across the floor. And we got the booty and gospel show. Now kids are coming up again. She got the booty on down. Oh, you got the booty on down. Oh, you got the body with y'all. God, let's do it. Let's do it. God, put your body into it, y'all. God, get all the way to the top this time, y'all. Let's go to CJ. Stone and back it up. I just smack them up, go day. Hey, go to CJ. Stone and freak that diggity. look here. Now, was that safe, y'all? Was that safe? Now, you on the back door up, y'all.
I have a couple of boozy brothers too.
And look, who is that?
A lot of people don't remember them.
Yeah, who's that? Boozy Brothers.
It was two brothers that put a go-go band together, and every time I post it up on YouTube, guys be like, "Are you serious, dude? Are you serious?" I've been looking for boozy brothers forever.
Your stuff be so unique sometimes. Cause I remember, man, you were the first person. I never heard of Black Nation. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah,
And yeah, I got Black Nation, and Black Nation was cranking.
cranking. A lot of bands, to me, a lot of bands back in the day would just start up in the neighborhood just to get out there. You know, Brad Evans was the monster of the bands back then, and just to probably just open up for them was a big thing. But just to get a go-go band to start out, a lot of these bands didn't last long. You know what I'm saying? They probably last like a year or two and just start playing. But when I put this old stuff up there, people would say, "Man, I remember this right here." Oh man, I was at that show. God is good. I mean, one dude said, "Man, you a blessing." I said, "Man, I'm not a blessing. I'm just a dude that just kept this stuff. If it wasn't for my brother, I'm not even gonna lie, I wouldn't even have this shit. I'm not even gonna lie. I wouldn't have it the way I have it today. If it wasn't for him, that his soul rest in peace, he gave me the platform to say, keep that, because people gonna want that in 25 and 30 years. Now here we still talking about it 40 years, and dude be hitting me up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Man, I'm overseas. I don't know what time it is over there, man. I need this S, or I need this air raid, or something like that. So it's just a blessing.
Now that's what we talking about, y'all. Good to see y'all all out there coming to boogie down, cause all y'all come to do y'all thing, all right? Now how y'all feel? Now how y'all feel? Now how y'all feel? Now how y'all feel? Now are y'all all fired up and ready to go? Are y'all all fired up and ready to go? Are y'all all fired up and ready to go? Are y'all all fired up and ready to go? Right now, my baby, dance y'all, get it, girl. Y'all showing up looking tired out there. Y'all ain't fired up and ready to go, are y'all? Huh? So what now? Do it, y'all. Good to see you, baby. Woman on that day. Now listen. Are y'all all fired up and ready to go? Are y'all all fired up and ready to go? Are y'all all fired up and ready to go? Are y'all all fired up and ready to go? Back them on up to the feet of these cars. Now get it, y'all. That's what we're talking about now. Now listen. Y'all tired yet? Y'all tired yet? Are y'all tired yet?
It is, John. It really is. It really is a blessing, man. Like I say, God bless your brother. And he was right, because a lot of us just be trying to find this, and we need that, man. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to get it, I can't put that part in the words. And let me ask you a question, because you know what, man. Even though I'm from the mud, from the area, let me tell you, because I want to get your take on something right now. Man, I'm learning so much about the life in Virginia. See, I think that's all. So what did you know about Ovation? You know what I'm saying? And Shady Groovers and all. What was your experience with that, man?
I'm gonna tell you a story about that. It was in 1983 or 84 when this dude I knew, lived in Suitland in City Line Towers at the time. He bought the record of Shady Groove, And we were so excited just to have another band outside of DC connecting with go-go. So we thought back then, all right, go-go was going outside, how we said DMV. But to have somebody, because air raised from Maryland, but to have somebody in Virginia, that was a big thing. To cut a record, an LP, that was a big thing back then. And we all cranked that Shady Groove album. Then the other bands kept trickling down. Oh, like you said, Ovation. Man, it's just like Chuck Brown said, go-go is enjoyable music. If you like go-go, it's your music too. So to have them bands out in Virginia to play go-go, it was just great, man. It was just a
Yeah.
blessing.
Yes, it was, man. And check this out. I'm plugging your mind because you bona fide, you know, man, person in genre that's like I say is historian with it also. And I'm saying, check this out, man. What if you bands were talking? We did an interview with Elwood and Boo and them, but cats were flooding in saying some of these bands I'm gonna throw out to your name. I don't know see if you have it in the collection. If not, but bands they were saying are bands like a Young Funk, people like that. See, I don't know. See, they got a whole kind of like nation of bands out there. Especially I'm talking whole like Alexandria. You know what I'm saying? Like they got a history. I'm just trying to get into. So I'm trying to see if like what your collection is of those bands out there, if any. Because I mean, some of the music from talking to them on Instagram and stuff, it's hard to find. But they got a rich
I,
history. But
I might have some of them. I mean, my list is so long. Half of the time I say I don't know. I just have to look at it.
yeah,
I mean, because I'm so stuck back in the old days. But I do get a lot of new stuff. I'll listen to the groove and I say, all right. Then I go pop in a 84, 83 something, and that just take my mind clear off this new stuff. But the bands today, to me, it's like they'll stick together for a hot minute and then there's no more. So it's like they come and go. And back in the day, I mean, you had Trouble Funk, EUS. I mean, they played from 78 until this day. I mean, Trouble Funk took, maybe some time off, but they back cranking, EU. You know, these are the heavyweight bands for these young bands today. If it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be the young groovers and all these other bands that's coming in.
yeah, I got you. And see, look, the question I want to ask too right here is so it's a nation of us who that's our flavor, all that from 70s to the 80s and things like that. So if you look at what's out here now, right? Some good bands for the audience that they have. How does the music differ? I don't see a lot of horns myself. I don't see a lot of things in some of the bands now. But how does the music differ through your lens though, through your mind's eye? How is the music different now from its beginning?
I mean, you listen to some of these bands now, they have a lot of bounce beat, and that's cool, because that's what this generation like. I mean, it's not something that I'm used to, but I would listen to it. I said, okay, then, it got a little something to it, but now they hitting a lot of different things. You don't hear the horns, you really don't hear the percussion as hard we did back in the day. I remember when Shorty Tim used to hit the hell of a cowbell. How the hell you gonna break a stick on a cowbell and get another one? I mean, you don't hear that thump no more. But I mean, they have their own flavor. The young generation like it. And I always give people a chance. I listen to it. I said, okay, then, it's starting to, rub off on me a little bit. But I always listen to the young generation, and that's one thing I don't like is when they say, "Oh man, back then that's nothing." I said, "Nah." And let me tell you something. I remember we used to go to Cherries. Cherries had them little windows around them. When you leave the go-go, them damn windows was sweating. We party hard back then. We party hard, and you had your little neighborhood cruise, but we party and we had fun. And that's what I could be trying to tell the youngers today. I said, just go back a little bit. Just listen to some of these old bands some of these new bands be hitting some of this stuff that was played back then. This band didn't do it. That's a Air Raid or whoever, they started that. Just like the Northeast Grooves, they did a dedication to Air Raid. You know, you gotta appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. What you said was solid too, because you know what, man. Clearly, I mean, you weren't hating at all. You giving it, because the key words you use, man, is deep. It's like, right. We gotta remember these are newer generations. They weren't even born, so they coming into their I guess their version of the culture. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's what it is. So I just say, I guess because we are older heads, man. Like, it's just so hard, man. I was listening to Rick Ray and Reality, and I mean, some of the grooves that they had, John. Like, I mean, the musicianship, bro. I mean, the musicianship we had with our bands, man. The youngers just really missing out on some of the music, man. You know?
Some of them can't get to it. They say, "Oh, it's too fast," or this and that. I said, "Man, you really had to just listen to the groove. The horns. I mean, the horns were so real. You know,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I seen Air Raid up close. The first time I seen him was at the Coliseum, and I seen 6 or 7 bands. And if it wasn't for my mother, I would have never had seen Air Raid this close. We was living in Capitol Heights in apartments called Mayberry, and it was on a Saturday. We used to just sit out front, doing teenager things. And she said, "Why don't y'all do something?" And I was like what? And remember the light poles? They post the go-go poster. She just said, "I just seen a poster of a band called Air Raid gonna be at Oak Crest. Why don't y'all go there tonight?" So she gave us some money, and that was my first time. Matter of fact, it was Pep Boys and Air Raid. I seen Pep Boys, and I said, "Okay, then." When Air Raid got on that floor, it was an experience I will never forget. And Doc was so humble. Maybe Doc don't forget. Doc just came out after he finished playing. He said, hey, what's up, young man? Real humble guy. And back then, all these go-go bands back then were our celebrities. And I told that to Big Tony one time. I said, y'all were our celebrities, just like rappers back in like they had Dougie Fresh or what have you. We have go-go, like Lil Benny, uh, um, Maniac, Doc, and Big Tony and Sugar Bear. They were our celebrities growing up, so we kind of cherished that.
Yeah. Facts. Facts.
Yeah,
So listen, I gotta get the memory with you. I gotta get there, man. Listen. So, two questions. First one is, was Pep Boys, was they a Maryland band, or what kind of, where they were from? Pep Boys.
I think they were from Maryland and DC. I think they just came together. I remember this one guy. I think his name was Vincent. Yeah, he was a real skinny dude. Dude named Vincent. He played with Pep Boys, and I knew him personally. And he was from Maryland, but he always had to say he had to go pick up this guy from DC that played with them. So I think they was like, DC and Maryland. Dude named
Okay.
Vincent. He was real skinny. Yeah.
Okay. I got to research them. You always give me something, man. Like I said, the Black Nation blew me. When I heard Black Nation, I was done. They was like that. But okay,
Yeah.
I want to ask you though. Let's go back in that memory. I need to know who was playing the first time you seen them.
Who was playing the first time I seen him?
Yeah.
It had been like 1982 or 83. It was a big show at the Coliseum. And I begged my mother. And I had my oldest cousin named Tyrone, let his soul rest in peace. He was the oldest one. He had been like 18 or 17 at the time. And there was my female cousin, her brother. So my mother said, all right, it was only $5. Man, I'm not even gonna
Hold up,
lie.
John. Hey, John, hold up. Hold up. Who was, yeah, give us the whole, how many bands was there? Who was the bands? And go, keep on going. Go ahead,
Man, I know it was Red Ashes, and they played last. But the other little bands, I remember they had Air Raid, they had Reds and the Boys, Trouble Funk and EU.
man. Fire.
And that was like, look, and look, that was my first time seeing the 18.
Yeah, I know that's right.
And I'm not even gonna lie, being a young man, just to see that, I'm like, 'cause I always heard him on tape, Maniac saying the 18s here, or Benny was saying it, or whoever. But that was my first time seeing the 18, and just like, oh, so that's the 18.
They probably was Mob Deep too.
Man, they're probably down there over 100 deep.
Yeah, man. I hear you. I remember my
Yeah,
time seeing them get out U-Haul trucks and all that. See, people think
yeah,
these youngers don't know, man. They was coming to the Coliseum in U-Haul trucks, man.
deep. I remember they had like steak bones around their fist
Yeah,
with tape
yeah.
around them.
Remember?
So yeah,
And look, John, look, we won't go too far, but remember they were wearing these kids were coming to go with the spike gloves on, gloves with the spikes on, because they knew they was gonna rumble. They was gonna rumble somebody.
yeah,
That was a guarantee.
yeah,
Mick talked about that. Mick talked about it was rumbling everywhere. I mean, you try
yeah,
and watch the show, they up in the seats, rumbling on the top, somebody getting chased.
yeah. Somebody
Those
get chased. Yeah. I mean, you have 100 brothers chasing one brother.
it's crazy, man. But look,
Yeah.
so the air raid represent when they played.
Lord have mercy. Yes, they did. And I tagged Doc in his comment. I had posted air raid up on Doc page, and the guy said, I remember I was at this show, and the brother said, I had an out of body experience. They was cranking so hard. And I told Doc, when Doc told me, he said they used to call them baby asses. I was like, man, nah. I knew they did, but I said, nah, y'all had your own groove, bro. I mean, but that's a comment, like, wow. Rare
Yeah,
Essence
it
back in the
is.
day? Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Let me tell you, you are so right, bro. Because let me tell you, to call air raid baby essence, if a person know what essence was like, and people call air raid baby essence, that's like saying Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm just saying
mm-hmm.
the combination. They try to say Ray Leonard reminded them. Because I say,
Yeah,
I know it's just my only opinion, right?
yeah.
But I mean, most people I've talked to will admit, out of the whole genre, that that early, late 70s, early 80s Rare Essence is probably the greatest band ever.
Mm, yeah, I will agree 100%.
I mean, I
I
can't
will
name
agree.
nobody that can whoop them, man.
Mm-mm. And it was just a bunch of young brothers, teenagers that can play instruments. I mean, a lot of cats that play in go-go bands back then and today have talent. You know, some of these R&B groups would get some of these, a go-go person just to play with them. I mean, I tell people, I said, do your history. Do your history. A lot of these players playing for these go-go bands have played for somebody, either to fill in or just do a cut with them or something. They have talent.
I mean, I think that's another interview with you to talk about because you made your mind got my mind racing. You think about the genuine and we know what Funky Ned doing. I'm just adding on to what you're saying. Like people don't know. Like I see what I'm a big Loose Ends fan. It's a brother. I forget his name. Play Congo. He playing for them. It's like our area, man. People don't hear about it, right? But man, look what the dude Rich did with what's the chick name with the A Marie and all. It's so many people from our
Oh, yeah,
area, man.
yeah,
And
yeah,
look what Chucky did with Murray J and
yeah.
Smalls and stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this
And,
culture produced.
and
Yeah,
Chuck used to live right around the corner from me when I used to live in Northwest. We used to go in his studio. We
is
used to
that
go in
right?
his studio. It was a little studio he had. The next thing you
The
know,
one,
this brother just blew up.
you mean the one in his house that
Yeah.
was in his basement? I've been in there. My man,
Okay.
the guy Lawrence Brown starred in Underground Film. That I did the first one. He took me over there to Northwest. Let me tell you, I
Northwest.
heard just I heard I heard music for Biggie Small's first album, and I heard music for Mary J's that My Life joint.
Yeah.
See, I heard that music before Puffy got it. This honest to God truth, man, John. Check it. It's just to your point. To your point. Look, Chucky was playing stuff for us in the basement, saying, because Puffy was trying to recruit Chucky's in. Puffy was still at Howard. See the
Right.
years I so Puffy was at Howard trying to pull Chucky, because Chucky could play almost everything.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And let me tell you, man, you mentioned the humbleness of Doc, which is a fact. Man, Chucky was just like that. I mean,
Humble guy. Humble.
he come in, he played me. So I'm making a point that I always hold on to the fact I got that blessing of him saying, check this out, y'all. He played. It'd be all these songs that were for Biggie Smalls. So New York cats, they have no idea. They be telling it, but we like a DC nigga did that, homie. Yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know how y'all hold. I'm not knocking Smalls, but without that
Right.
music, right? Just like Murray J.
Mm-hmm.
My Life album, a DC dude pioneered that. Puffy recruited this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to go further with that because I'm saying but
Right.
they
Yeah.
say
Right.
they say look John, they say though that a lot of the New York brothers that came down here that went to school at Howard, they seen fashion,
Mm-hmm.
music, and all kinds of stuff down here that they ain't know was tight like that. Then they took the same style, went up the hill with it, all that Versace and all that they saw Smalls in them wearing. I am just saying, DC dudes was wearing it, Maryland was wearing that. See,
Back in the
that's how the
early
game
'80s.
go. That's how the game go, man. People come and they experience this stuff here. Because I say, I definitely want to get your take on this, man. I always say that, yeah, this music, Trouble them took it abroad. Trouble them took it all over the place, and it caught on. Because a lot of the Asians love it, but I'm saying it didn't get to really blast. My point is, right, at the end of the day, I say we're unique. Like when you go to New Orleans and they got their culture. See, my thing is, this is a culture. See, Boo Jones said that. Boo said, look, man, it's a culture and a music. You know how hip hop got all that spray paint and all that tagging they do,
Mm-hmm.
right? They got it's a whole culture. And that's why I want to get you on here to get you to teach some of you, man, that like, look, it ain't just about, okay, that's old go-go. How can old go-go? Why do you think all the new boxers be studying Ali and the people before him, Sugar Ray Rock?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it's the same story.
Yeah.
But they built it though. That's the
Mm-hmm.
point I think you're trying to make about saying you got to know your history. Y'all may have changed it to what everything should change too. I guess I guess everything
Yeah. I
should
mean,
continue to.
yeah. Things gonna always change, and I tell people today. I said, if you listen to every type of music, because I listen to it all. I'm not even gonna lie. I listen to country, hard rock, soft rock, R&B. So every song has a story, just like go-go. Every song has a story. Just listen to it. Go-go just has a harder beat, but if you just listen to some of the words, they have a story to tell. Just like blues, they have a story. Country, I mean, you just listen to the words. Might be talking about his old girlfriend or something, but it's a story. He's telling the story. Just like go-go. You listen to the words, they telling you something about your neighborhood or something. Every
Or life.
group has a story, right? About life, right?
I got you,
Mm-hmm.
man. So look, man,
Yeah.
I'm just keeping an eye on our time. Here's the thing I want to get in before we end this first interview with you is this. So we know that as Go-Go called to this and historian with this, man. How did it evolve? How did it evolve into the clothing?
Well, it was my brother. You know, yeah. Long story short, he got sick in 2015. He had his own little business, home improvement, and he had a bad heart, and they had to put a defibrillator in there. and the doctor told him he can't do what he used to do. So he told me he felt like he was less of a man because he couldn't put a toilet seat in or put a tub in because he told me he had to stop lifting heavy stuff. So I told him we should go on a business. He's like, what? I said, let's get our own clothing line. He said, for real? I said, yeah, I put some pen and paper in your hand. You can draw a little design. I said, I take care of everything else. So I named it All the Way. And when I talked to my patent attorney, he checked, and he said somebody in California had that name, but we can change the lettering. I said, nah, I want to spell just the way it is. So I said, All the Way Clothing. I said, well, All the Way Gear. Then he checked that out. He said, you want me to lock you in after 10 days? I said, yeah. So I told my brother, I said, I paid for the name and everything. It's called All the Way Gear. So he said, gear? I said, yeah, I put gear at the end, but it's really, all the way. He said, what do All the Way stands for? And this is deep right here, Ruff, what I'm about to tell you. I said, All the Way is for you and anybody else that's going through bad times. You get bad results from a doctor like you did, or you just lost your job, or you just feeling low. You just feel like giving up. But if you pray, you can go all the way. And that's what All the Way stands for. And when I did the first shirt, I said, I'm going to bring it down there and show it to you. And less than that week, he passed away. And he came to me and said, keep pushing All the Way gear. And that's how I started.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
deep.
not a name. It's just not a name, but it has a meaning to it. So when people say All the Way gear, pray about it. Whatever you're going through, you can go all the way.